Well, good morning. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to see that you're all here. Today, obviously, we're going to be speaking about vision boards, and, sharing some ideas, not only how to do them necessarily, but some of the reasons why doing them is so important and how helpful they can be. Did everybody print out the outline that I sent you guys? That has the blanks in it? Perfect. Okay, I'm hoping that everybody was able to, you did not? Okay, well, I'm going to sort of vamp here for a little bit. Hopefully you're able to print out that attachment that Nicole sent out, because it has some notes and some things to fill in that will, if you follow along and fill it in, you'll have your notes complete by the end of the meeting, and Nicole will not have to send them out for you. So, in order to get started off, some of us have been, in business for a long time. Some people less so. But the question today is, why are we talking about vision boards? How will they help me? Is it a waste of time? How do you make one? My hope, today as we go through this presentation is to answer those questions and many other things. The simple fact that all of you are attending today's class today tells me that you're open-minded, you're willing to try things, you're gathering information, and you have a desire to build your business, and to build, your personal development and your brand and that kind of thing. So, I want to say kudos to you for that. Over the years, and I don't remember where I heard it or where I've seen it, but it's pretty common that there are three distinct groups of people. There are people that make things happen. They're the movers and shakers. Those are the ones that make things happen. There are some people that stand around and watch what happens. We're familiar with that. They sort of stand in the background and sort of look around. Sometimes those are the critics, those are the ones that are talking, hey, did you see this was going on? That was so terrible. Oh, that was so great. They're talking about it. They're not doing it. And the third group of people is looking around saying, what just happened? They're not even in the game. They're, what just happened? So, why do I bring this up is that the people that make things happen and are successful in life do a lot of things that the ordinary people don't do. For example, one of the statistics that I heard years ago is about library cards. Do you know that only 3% of the population gets library cards? Library cards are free. I have one. Library cards are free. They're free. And it gives you access to all of the wisdom that is available in the world for free. And only 3% of the population has library cards. I don't know what the statistics are for people that actually do vision boards, but my observation over the years is that people that are successful do a lot of these things like vision boards. They'll do positive affirmations. They're intentional, they're creative and consistent in their drive for success and happiness. And so they're constantly doing things that typical people don't do. So I'm going to start off with successful people often use vision boards. And, the question is, why might you ask? And so here's some thoughts that I wrote down. Our work environments, our home environments are filled with, and I want you to write these words down in your outline, distractions and interruptions. Our work and our home environments are filled with distractions and interruptions. In other words, we forget what we want. Our goals are out of sight, our goals are out of mind, and the most pressing problems that, the loudest voices around us are the things that are going to get our attention. We always tend to see, that's another word to write down, we tend to focus on what we see right in front of us. So if we're looking at Yahoo on the computer screen, we're thinking about Yahoo. If we're thinking about Fox News, if we're thinking about CNN, if we're thinking about Pickleball Central, it doesn't matter. Whatever is in front of us are the things that we tend to think about. Okay. So without a reminder of our goals and dreams, the distractions and the interruptions that we talked about before, the things that are in front of us, and those are the things that are going to gather our attention. So the next point that I wrote down is something that you've heard me say many times. It says, we become what we think about most of the time. That's a quote from Earl Nightingale. Mike Ferry has stolen it. A lot of different people have shared that thought. Earl Nightingale did a whole program on that idea, is that, and he called it the strangest secret. The strangest secret is that we become what we think about most of the time. And if you take a moment to think about that for a second, I mean, if you've ever wanted something so bad that it was all you could ever think about, for those of you that are married, there was at one time, at least for sure, that you were thinking about your significant other or your spouse, and that was all you could ever think of. You wanted it so bad, it was the only thing that was on your mind, and you didn't stop thinking about it until you got them. Okay. So that is a perfect example of how the strangest secret works, is that the things that we tend to focus on are the things that our mind attract us to. There was a movement several years back. It was called The Strangest Secret, or I think it was The Strangest Secret. There was like a long video on it. And basically, the whole premise is that if you're thinking about something, you will attract it. The law of attraction, it will bring it to you. Okay. So because what we think about most of the time is what we become, wouldn't it be nice to think about our dreams more often? Would it be helpful to think about our goals more often? If we become what we think about, it makes perfect sense that we need to think about our goals and our dreams more often in order to have them come into our life. Okay. The fourth point I wrote down, and the word that fits in there is vision board. A vision board is a tool designed to help you short circuit human nature and focus on your goals or our goals. Tim Wood used to say, if you can see the obstacles, it means that you've taken your eyes off the goal. Think about that from a really practical standpoint, as if you're sitting in the office and all you can see are all the problems and all the distractions in front of you, that means you've taken your eyes off the goal. So having a vision board in your office or in the place that you work would be a good tool for you to be able to refocus and go back to. So the next part, section 5 that I have written down here talks about how vision boards help us to activate our brains. Brain research suggests that repetitive visualization, also known as mental imagery or visualization rehearsal, can have several effects on the brain. And here are some of the insights based on that current knowledge. So I'm going to go through some of the things that brain chemistry science tells us. And I was first introduced to this about 35 years ago by Tony Robbins, one of the books that I read where he talked about some of these brain chemistry issues back 35 years ago. It is absolutely scientifically proven to be true, is that our brains can work for us or our brains can work against us. Ask anyone who has an addiction problem. Addiction is a brain chemistry disease. The people that have really good habits, for those of you that have read that book, Atomic Habits, there's a long session inside that book where he talks about the brain chemistry changes that take place in your mind, when you do some of these visualization techniques that we're going to be talking about that include a vision board. So in A, the first word to write down is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. And the scientific word says visualization can contribute to neuroplastic changes in the brain. When you vividly imagine performing a specific action or a skill, the brain areas associated with that activity may undergo structural and functional changes. I think that is so important to recognize, is that your brain can be your friend. Your brain can be your enemy, and your brain can be your friend. If you're feeding your brain a lot of sugar, which is not good for your brain, if you're constantly repeating negative thoughts over and over and building neuroplasticity with negativity, that is going to create, different changes in your brain so that your brain chemistry is actually working against you and not for you. Any of us that have, admired or been involved in high level athletics and sports and different things, if they've ever, talked with different elite athletes, a lot of times they will have what's called a pre-game ritual or pre-activity ritual, where, I remember, as a kid, hearing, high jumpers, where they would visualize, their approach to the bar, and they would imagine themselves, planting their foot in exactly the right place and getting, the right amount of momentum in the spring so that they could see themselves, visualizing themselves going backwards over the bar. It was the Fosbury flop was what I, did as a kid. And so, all of these elite athletes that we talk to, they will talk about visualization. Professional golfers, for anybody that has ever studied professional golfers, they talk about the mental part of the game, which is this visualization. A lot of people will have visualizing exercises. And what's sort of amazing about it, and it's sort of, talked about it here a little bit, is when you vividly imagine performing a specific action or skill, the brain areas associated with that activity may undergo structural activities. You don't even have to really do the activity to get the structural brain change. All you have to do is vividly imagine it. Okay? Who's heard the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words? All of us have. And it's because it creates that kind of brain chemistry change. Okay. The second item B, in the blank there, it says activation of neural networks. Activation of neural networks, and neural is N-E-U-R-A-L. Goes on to say the brain often cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. That's exactly what I just said. Okay. If you imagine getting on one knee and proposing to the woman of your dreams, and she says no, that's really not something you ever want to experience, because that feeling, everybody, when I said that, I saw facial recognition in you. All of a sudden your hearts went down. And see, and when we vividly imagine things, the emotions that we have with those imaginations are just as strong as actually really experiencing them. That's one of the reasons why movies are such a good thing for us to go to, especially if it's about a dark subject, is because we can learn and experience emotionally from a vivid motion picture, an event that would be devastating if we ever had to live it in real life. But we can learn the lesson from the emotions from from the TV show. Okay. So visualization activates similar neural networks as actual physical experiences involving areas responsible for perception, memory, and motor skills. I didn't realize this until, recently, and I'm trying to stop myself from doing it, but I get a little bit obsessed. I've been playing pickleball a lot. And so I find myself a lot of times sort of daydreaming about hitting shots in pickleball, because I keep making so many bad shots. I keep hitting the ball too high and the guys slam it at me. And I know what the answer is. The answer is I have to hit it softer and lower so they can't do that. Okay. So I find myself, continually thinking over and over about, here comes the ball, here's the movement that I need to make, and here's the trajectory of the ball. It needs to go right over, the net and drop in the kitchen, for those of you that know what pickleball is about. Okay. The next thing that I wrote down is skill enhancement. Visualization can enhance motor skills and performance. Athletes, for example, we talked about that before, use mental imagery to rehearse and improve their performance. This may involve imagining precise movements, strategies, and successful outcomes. Sort of about my pickleball thing as well. One of the things that's really interesting about, where it talks about using visualizing for skill enhancement, is the practice of rehearsing scripts. You know, a lot of times, you know, when we talk about role-playing scripts, which is something that I've been sharing with people for a long time that I think works well for this industry, is that a lot of times people will say, well, I don't have a real role play partner. I'm embarrassed to have a role play partner. Well, the whole science behind visualization is that if you close your eyes and you imagine yourself presenting your listing presentation to a client, and you close your eyes, and in your mind's eyes and in your imagination, you see yourself doing that presentation and you go through it, it's almost as if you were doing it in real life. It's almost the same value as if you were doing it with a role play partner. And depending on your mental toughness, it could be even better than all of those things because you have total control over your imagination. You can imagine yourself, you know, being big, large, powerful, dynamic in the way that you speak, putting the correct inflection when you're presenting that script to somebody. Does that make sense? So you can visualize and do all of these things in real life. This is the power of brain chemistry. The last thing, well, it's not the last thing, but you know, the next one here is reduced anxiety is the next line under D. Reduced anxiety is a promise that you can get by visualization. Visualization can help reduce anxiety and stress when individuals repeatedly visualize positive outcomes or scenarios. It may lead to a reduction in stress-related neural activity and promote a more relaxed state. So I think the key here is visualizing when individuals repeatedly visualize positive outcomes or scenarios. Anybody that's been to a Mike Ferry seminar, when they talk about role playing, they always say role play successful outcomes when you're doing your script. Your role play partner is supposed to let you set the appointment. Your role play partner is supposed to allow you to close them to sign the contract. We want to practice wins. There's enough negativity out there. We don't have to practice no's. When we're practicing, we want to practice yeses. And so when you're visualizing, you want to be visualizing winning. And when we do that, it will reduce our stress and anxiety. Item E about visualization is memory improvement. Visualization has been linked to improved memory. Creating mental images while learning or recalling information can enhance memory retention by engaging different brain regions involved in visual processing. One tip I would share with you is that if you are visualizing anything, is try to visualize or ask yourself the questions, what colors am I seeing? Do I smell anything? You know, what are the sounds surrounding this visualizing? Okay. Because anytime that you bring in any of the other six senses, you know, smell, sight, sound, those kinds of things, it will greatly increase what's happening in your brain. Okay. Next item, goal achievement. Regularly visualizing goals can enhance motivation, increase the likelihood of achieving them. It helps create a mental roadmap, making it easier for individuals to stay focused and committed to their objectives. And the last one, G, brain connectivity. Visualization can enhance connectivity between different brain regions. When you engage in mental imagery, various parts of the brain communicate and synchronize, contributing to a more integrated cognitive experience. Now, some of you youngsters may not be too worried about your cognitive abilities, but I am at age 60. So, you know, we want to do everything that we can to be sharp. You know, you don't have to take Prevagen in order to keep your mind straight. You can do some other things as well, okay? And visualizing is something that we can do to that. The sixth thing that I wrote down, and you can write this in, you attract the people, places, and circumstances into your life by the person you become. That is Jim Rohn. You attract the people, places, and circumstances into your life by the person you become. And so an individual that remembers their goals, an individual that is motivated and excited and confident in the things that they're trying to achieve, carries themselves differently than one who does not. And so when you carry yourself with more confidence and with more energy and with more enthusiasm, you're going to attract people to you that want to have a little bit of that energy. Okay, they're going to feed off of that energy. Okay, so I want you all to clearly understand and utilize a vision board as a powerful tool in your personal development and business development path. So the question would be then is, how do you make one? It looks like nobody is in the office to actually physically do one, but I know Sarah has done one. I know Nicole has done one. We heard Mike Walkner has done one. Is there anybody else that has created their own vision board already? Becky, perfect. Okay. So I may ask you guys all to share that and go over it here as we go through it, but I'm going to, share with you how you make one. Okay. The thing that is really important about goals is that they're clear and specific. So when I ask somebody how much, money do you want to make, and they say, I want to make a lot of money, that does not help. Because my next question is, well, what's your definition of a lot of money? Some people say $20,000 is a lot of money. And for some people, $20,000 is a lot of money. Some people say $10 million is a lot of money. And the answer to that is correct. Do you think that their behavior and their motivation and their goals is going to be different if it's $10,000 or $20,000 versus 10 million? And the answer is, of course. Okay. But the thing that our brains don't know is they don't know what a lot means. So we have to be specific about that. So when you're creating your vision board, you want to be clear and specific about your goals and your aspirations. If you say, I want a new car, do the research and find out exactly what car it is that you want and get a picture of the car that you want. A Hyundai might be $25,000. There it is. Mike's got one. A Mercedes 450 SL convertible is a completely different vehicle. A Tesla like, the X model that Walkner and Dana and Simeon have, I think those are about 120 grand right now. I mean, those things are different. So being specific about your goals and aspirations, because you want to know exactly, if you want a Tesla Model X and you get a Hyundai, you got a new car, but you won't be happy because that's not what you really wanted. So you want to be specific and very clear about what they are. And you want to do similar to what we've done in our goal setting sessions. Ask yourselves these questions. What do I want to have? What do I want to have? For Mike Cruz, I know it is a Buffalo Bills Super Bowl champions sweatshirt or t-shirt. I know that that's what he wants. Now, he needs their help in order to get there. But that's one of the things I know that, that he wants. Your goal might be to earn $250,000. Okay. Be specific about it. Write that number down. What do I want to have? I want to have $100,000 in my bank account in 2 years that is available to me. Another question, where do I want to go? Some people want to travel. Recently, I was having dinner with a couple that talked about going on an around the world cruise. It takes about 4 months to go around. You're on a cruise ship or a series of cruise ships for 4 months and go around the world. I had never thought about that. Okay. I mean, I would really like to do that. Okay. And so it's sort of interesting, the things that when we hear something that where do we want to go? What do we want to have? What do we want to be? Okay. I know one of the people in the company that I've, heard their goals shared is that they want to be the top agent in their class in the company, in a period of time. Okay. So, we can have goals about things that we want to be. Okay. Early on, gosh, I mean, this is probably, it's not egotistical. It was my goal. There was a time that every day that I wrote down my affirmations of who I wanted to be, what I wrote was that I wanted to be the example of excellence in the real estate business as a salesperson, as a broker, as a coach, as a leader. And that was what I wanted to be. That was something that was important to me. Now, can you take those things that you want to have? That's easy because you can get a picture of things that you want to have, pictures of places that you want to go, and things that you want to be, and find visual images of those and words and quotes and things and put them on a vision board that you can put in front of you so that you have the deepest, most powerful, and most emotional secrets that you have in your heart and make them visual and put them in front of you. Okay, every single time that you look at your vision board, you're activating that brain chemistry science that we talked about visualizing. You don't even have to imagine it. If you put it in a board, it can be right there in front of you. And then you can see it. And then you can close your eyes and you can imagine, what does it feel like on the bow of the ship as I'm going past Norway with the frigid air going by my face? You can imagine those goals that you have on your vision board and sort of go on a daydream of where you want to go, who you want to be, and what you want to have. And you can make it real any time of the day that you're sitting in front of your vision board. Does that sound powerful? It is. It is. So in order to make your own, you want to gather the images, the words, the phrases, the quotes, and the affirmations. Write those words in: images, quotes, and affirmations that point to your goals. Further, choose images and words that create a strong emotional reaction in yourself. For example, is there anybody that has the desire, whether they're there or not, to become a millionaire? Is there anybody that has that desire that they want to be a millionaire? Okay, so we have a bunch. Good. Okay. Is the money your goal? Is the money really your goal? No, it's not the goal. It's what the money will do for you. And for me, the most powerful thing about becoming independently wealthy is not the money, because the money ain't going with me. It's the freedom that it provides me in my life today. When you have a client that is running you through the ringer and they're abusive and they're mean and you hate them and they hate you, when I don't have enough money to pay my bills at the end of the month, I'm going to work with that jerk. When I'm financially independent, I can say, see ya. Okay. So financial freedom is not about the money. It's about the freedom. It's about the things that you can do and the places that you can go that are meaningful to you here on an emotional this area right here, the emotional part. It's not the money. The money's just paper or, bits and bytes on a computer screen. That's all the money is. But it's what it will do for you. So make sure that you choose words and images that create a strong emotional reaction. So when I write down, financially independent, I write down freedom, because freedom is what that financial independence represents to me. Design a poster or vision board and place it where you will see it every day, either in your bedroom, your office, your workspace, or your bathroom, someplace where you can see it routinely. Okay. So I think now is a good time to ask everyone that has created a vision board if you have the ability to share that. I know Nicole has one that she can share. Does anybody else have theirs where they can share it here today? Okay, Sarah can do that. So Sarah, why don't you go ahead and share yours and sort of, whatever you're willing to share with the group about what your experience was putting it together. Would you share that with the group?
Is this like a current one, or are you looking at ones from years past? I didn't do one yet. That's why I did this group, but I have one from last year.
You could share last year's and how you how you got to it.
This is my this year one, so it's on a VNC, but it kind of has everything. Like, we want a new back deck, so I put pictures of back decks on there. It has like, I don't know if you guys can see, but like one listing a week, because that's one of my goals. It has I want to read a book a month, so it has that on there, like just different expand your business, like different things I found in magazines just to go along with my goals of, has a Remax thing and then a number one, and I don't know, just things that went along with what I was trying to achieve this year.
Very good. And this is not your first time doing one, that's correct? Okay. How many have you done in the past?
Last year was my first one after talking to you. So I did it last year. And so it worked. And I keep it in my, on one of the shelves right as you walk in my closet, because I go in there every single day to get dressed. And so I see it morning and night. So I found that was the best place.
Very good, very good. So that goes right into one of the points that I was going to make. A vision board is a dynamic tool. So write down that word dynamic tool. We are human and we change. Hopefully we grow over time. Our goals are going to change as we change. And when we reach a goal or objective, it's time then to dream bigger dreams, write down bigger dreams. So you want to update your board as needed and on a regular basis. Maybe it's once a year, maybe it's a quarter, maybe it's once you, come up with a new goal. With something like, I had a conversation, like I said, a month ago about going on a around the world cruise. I know exactly how much it costs for the one I want to do. It costs $100,000 to do the one that I want to do for 2 people. Because I don't want to do it half baked. I want to do it full. Okay, so it's a lot of money. So I know how much it's going to cost, and I know exactly what I want to accomplish. And so that's new. That was not in my goals until about a month ago. Okay. So Becky, why don't you go ahead and share your experience?
I was looking at it and I didn't do one from last year. It was from the year before. I don't know if you're interested in that, but I have done 3 in the past. I do believe in them. I agree with you that it should be updated at least every 6 months, because mine was just from the year and things change throughout the year. My goals change. So this is the one I did from a couple of years ago, and I don't know if anybody can even see it, but anyway, I wanted to make my website better. So I did, I put that on here about my website. I needed to renew my license for notary and real estate, so that was on here. I needed a better printer that prints like flyers and stuff decent without me having to go to the printer. So I found some real expensive one and stuck it on here. And I really want to get caught up on the IRS. I have this one that says IRS tax bill on it. And then I wanted my decks to be fixed. So I have pictures of gates and different decking material. And I wanted to take my family to Disneyland. That one didn't happen.
Okay.
But everything else did.
Very good. Okay, so you're routinely doing them. You've done 3 of them, so that's great. Nicole sort of gave a brief view of hers this morning. What I think is really cool about Nicole's, just from the brief thing that I saw, was that she's got like a cork board. And so, talk about having a dynamic tool. If she reaches a goal and she sets a new one, all she has to do is take the picture of the old thing down and put the new one up in that spot. So I think that's a pretty cool thing there. So tell us about yours, Nicole.
So when I did mine, okay, granted it was a little rushed because I knew the class was today, but I had been thinking about it since we decided to do it when you and Dana and I talked about it. So my healthy lifestyle, I just like this picture. I kind of found it on the internet and printed it out. It had a lot of things that I want to do this year that I have with my husband that we've been unable to do for a while. Travel, I love ballparks. I don't really know which one that is, but we plan to go to 2 different ballparks this year. I always wanted to go to New York in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so that is one of our goals this year. Reading, I love to read. I actually downloaded the 100 books you should read before you die. So it's not on here, but that's what this represents to me. Mindset, I used to journal a lot. I have a problem with my hand right now, so actually handwriting is difficult, but I'm getting better, so I'm hoping to get back to that. My love thing, I actually painted and drew that, and I just for my husband and my family. It's just a representation for me to spend more time with them. And then my hobbies, I like doing puzzles. I actually painted that picture. I want to get back to that. Again, my hand is better, so that's one of my goals. And then I just put one of my sons gave me this deck of cards that's positive affirmations. So I just picked out the ones I liked and put them on there. And like you said, I decided a cork board because as things happen, I want to change it, update it, move it. I don't know, throughout the year.
That is very good. Very well thought out. Thanks for the explanation on it. Is this the first one that you've ever done?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody else have experience with one or one that want to share? Go ahead, Jess.
I did one last year and failed because I ended up putting it away and never looking at it. And so obviously I don't even remember what I put on it. I know that it was a lot of fun and I feel like this is really motivating. So today I'm actually going to go down to Office Depot and probably get a couple cork boards so John and I can have a date night and do our vision boards together tonight.
Awesome. Awesome. Very good. Well, I'm preaching to the choir here. You know, you're all here to gather information. Clearly you guys have already demonstrated that you're willing to do these things. I mean, the next note that I wrote down, you know, there's dreamers and there's doers. You know, everybody has dreams, but it's the doing that makes the difference. And, you know, one of the things that just sort of is, you know, an observation over the years is that the people that seem to do the most or achieve the most success do things on faith. You know, they do things on faith. And, you know, and the faith that I'm going to share with you is that, you know, my 38-year career, you know, working with Tim, you know, working with Mike Ferry, working with, you know, a whole host of other very, very successful people, is that these things that we're exposed to that sound so hokey, writing our goals down, doing a dream board, positive affirmations, visualizing success, role playing and practicing. The people that achieve a lot of things, they do them. I mean, they don't just talk about them. They don't just hear about them. You know, they're just not hearers of for a scriptural, you know, interpretation. They're not hearers of the word. They're doers of the word. You know, and so in order to be successful in this business, when you see these ideas, you know, have faith that they will work. Last thing that I wanted to share with you, you know, aside some of those other things that we've talked about in the past, that I encourage you to do them as well as the vision board, you know, is to find a theme song for 2024. And I don't know, you know, what your style of music is, but I'm going to share with you is how positive, you know, having a theme song is. You know, and you guys would not know who this is that I'm talking about, but there was a gentleman, guitar player. His name is Larry Carlton. And Larry Carlton is a jazz fusion guitar god from the 80s. And he was a studio musician that did the theme song for Magnum PI back when Tom Selleck was, you know, which dates, you know, me compared to some of you. Only Bill and I probably get that, Ned, but maybe Nancy, I don't know. But Magnum PI was a top show, and this guitar player, Larry Carlton, was a studio musician, just unbelievably talented guitar player. And he had an album called Room 335. And the title song from that song is an instrumental with this guy just shredding the guitar. And when I was a senior in high school, our baseball games were played off-site. So I would go home to change into my uniform and then drive down to Stengel Field in Glendale, where we played our games, because we played at night down at Stengel Field. We had lights there. And I would listen to Larry Carlton play 335 over and over and over again, because that song got me in the mood. It got me pumped up. It got me excited about what I was doing. Now, when we talk about brain chemistry changes, you know, having a theme song that motivates and excites you and gets you pumped up, use that. use that. The seventh inning stretch song when I was in high school was Kool and the Gang, Celebration. Celebrate good times. Come on. You guys have all heard that. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Find a song, something that you can hear that is going to change your brain chemistry, and play that song when you're looking at your vision board, to get yourself enthusiastic about moving forward. Okay. So I think that's it for that. You guys have all the notes, I think, written down. Was there any questions on any of the stuff that that I went through?
I have a quick question, not necessarily about the vision board itself, but you had mentioned that you write your daily affirmations. And so I'm just kind of curious, when you go about writing daily affirmations, do you have a journal where you're writing the same thing over and over again, or are your affirmations kind of changing with what your focus is for the day?
Yeah, good question. Well, so for those, I mean, and I'm gonna sort of back up before I answer, I'm gonna, give a little bit of background to the answer here, is that whether everybody that is, on this Zoom call uses affirmations. Even if you think that you don't use affirmations, all of us use affirmations. The problem is that most of our self-talk is negative. It's not on purpose. It's negative self-talk. And the reason that I know that's true is early on, I remember I was making eggs, scrambling eggs for Carrie in the morning. And I had the fork and I was sort of scrambling the eggs, and I dropped the fork in the egg mixture. And the thought that came to my mind was, that was stupid. Okay. So my point is that that was an affirmation. It was not a good affirmation, but it was an affirmation. And so, what I would share with you about your affirmations is that you take the negative self-talk that you are experiencing, the things that are getting in your way, and turn them around and repeat them over to reprogram your mind in a positive way. So, I would write 10 times every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. I would write down this line: I do things now, I get things done. 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 I would write that 10 times on a piece of paper. I would write things like, I am a child of God and I have a right to be here. I am equal to the best. There was a time when I was asked the question, along with everybody else in a class, by the speaker, why should I list my house with you and not with Tim Wood, your broker? That was the question that the speaker asked everybody in one of our training classes. Why should I, if I'm a seller and I ask you the question, what's your answer? Why should I list my home with you and not with Tim? And my answer at the time was, well, if you don't list your home with me, I don't get paid and my kids don't eat. That was the best answer I had. It wasn't because if I was a seller, I would have listed with Tim Wood too, knowing what I knew at the time. And so what I did was I made the decision to change that to be able to come up with a better answer. Okay. And so, the kinds of affirmations that I wrote down is that, I am equal to the best. I'm perfectly capable of helping you sell your home and doing it in a way that will make you more comfortable than a lot of other agents will do. And so I would write those kinds of rebuttal, positive affirmation thoughts over and over and over again. Sometimes it was 10 times. Anytime that you hear something that is extremely motivating, you can add that to your motivational quote, thing, because, we get bored, if we write the same affirmation over and over and over and over again, we only have to write it until it soaks in, and then it's time for a new one. And so I'll never forget, I was at a Board of Realtors meeting, it was probably 1998. And a guy got up and he read a quote from Nelson Mandela. And the quote was, "Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small doesn't serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so other people won't feel insecure about you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as you let your light shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. When I first heard that quote, I had tears streaming down my eyes when I heard it. And so probably for the next year, I wrote that quote every day. I haven't written that quote down probably for 2 years, but I still remember it. Now, do you want to have those kinds of positive, powerful things living inside your brain to inspire you when you need it? And I'm betting that you do. Okay, great job. I'm glad that you guys are all here. If you guys need anything, let me know how I can help, okay?